Okay, alright.
Hi, my name is Nina Salem. Some people in Chicago might know me as Nina Kativa. I am a taxidermist, entomologist, fire performer, aerial artist, and burlesque performer. I also teach live animal education and do a myriad of other arts, sciences, as well as construction work. So I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I started off as a molecular gastronomist working in fine dining as a pastry chef, and have adapted myself to become one of Chicago's very exciting female taxidermists. Oh, the bear, all right. So that is, his name is Barrington, and he's a grizzly bear. He's a restoration project that I got in Denver, Colorado. Everywhere I travel, I try to take home a little piece of taxidermy history with me. So I found this guy for about $300, and he's got a full cape with him, and he had a lot of extensive damage. So about 3 years ago, I worked on him, cleaned him up, repainted him, and got his mouth and his nose back in order. And he's about maybe 4 months away from being redone again. Because with taxidermy, the dust kind of settles in here. And so it's our responsibility to refreshen everything and clean everything every once in a while. I got into taxidermy and mortuary sciences growing up as a child. I grew up in the middle of the woods in between Massachusetts and Maine, which is part of the New England region, and a log house. And I'm also autistic. And so I struggle a lot with, your traditional school studies. When I was young, I was always asking way too many questions. The highs, the whys, the hows, the who's, the whats, so on and so forth. And I was always getting my hands into something creative. My hobbies as a child were collecting bugs, sticking rocks in my pockets and my mouth, and taking home as much flora and fauna as I could. My uncle recognized that I had a huge skill in terms of animal sciences and started teaching me fly tying. But my family did not have the finances to be able to keep up with the career in fly tying, as those supplies often are very expensive. So I started collecting roadkill on my own, and I started tanning and preserving things. I had a friend who was Native American who taught me the traditional ways that her family had done things for years and years in the past. And then I also had a friend who was a hunter, and he showed me the more modern scientific versions of taxidermy as well. So I had a very interesting opportunity to learn from both of them. However, neither of them are taxidermists. So the majority of my education came from learning in libraries and self-education and just trial and error. And I've kind of expanded from traditional taxidermy to so many different forms of mortuary sciences and arts. This is Penny. Penny was actually a gift to a young boy when he was about 8 years old, and he came to live with me now. The gentleman is 55. And his wife decided that they wanted to move to Florida, so they were thinning down their collection. And so Penny had extensive ear damage that I repaired, as well as she had a lot of particles in her coat of paint and other debris. Oftentimes when animals come to me, they'll have a lot of dust, dirt, fecal matter from other insects or rodents. Sometimes they'll have dermastid decay, and they'll need to be remounted. Fortunately, Penny didn't have all of that. But she did have a really cool story of a one-time owner in a childhood fantasy. This collection of insects that you see is just a very small amount of my collection. I have over 24,000 insects, and I've collected them over the course of almost 30 years. So I'd say majority of the bulk of my collection, I started at about 6 years old and never stopped from there. I did acquire a large amount of insects in the 2016 to 2019 range, just because I really wanted to get serious about bringing animal education to Chicago. And I wanted to show more than my standard New England type insects. I think it's really important for the kids to have a personal touch with our community, so that way we can help teach eco-sustainability. And so in here is like another transition to like my creative workspace, and it's kind of a holding ground for some of the art projects that I've done. I today was making a tooth fairy. So here are my teeth, and these belong to Wolf. And so what I was gonna do is take the teeth, and I have these cicada wings. These are naturally sourced from the Brood X generation, the 16-year over in Maryland. And so this is a cicada that I had glazed with the resin as well, because I'm gonna make like them fighting each other. I know it sounds crazy, but I just thought it would be like a cute little terrarium thing, like the cicada molt going after the tooth fairy. These are from Maryland because I was on a trip for my 30th birthday where we took mopeds from Atlanta, Georgia to Richmond, Virginia. So essentially what's going to happen is this tooth is going to have the wings placed here, the other one will go here, and then the back wings will be placed like here. So if I kind of try to hold them all together, they're gonna look like that on the teeth's back. And so they'll be cute little tooth fairies. I feel like my favorite piece that's represented in front of us today is my Burmese Python egg here. And I say that because a lot of my pieces have a lot of integrated feelings and emotions behind them. Because I am a taxidermist, I work with mortuary sciences and arts, which means that something has to give life in order for me to create a piece. So this particular Burmese Python egg came from one of my snakes. Her name was Julia Squeezer, and she worked with Scales and Tails Traveling Zoo. Unfortunately, she became egg-bound, and we did everything that we could with the veterinary clinics to try to relieve her of the eggs. And she had 14 eggs when we x-rayed her. She was not able to pass them naturally, and the vets told us that surgery wasn't an option. We tried to inject her to induce the birthing process, and all of our attempts failed. So I then tried to humanely self-dilate her in order to get the eggs out, knowing there was 14 that were trapped inside of her. My success got me 13 of the 14 eggs. So these are some of the eggs, and you can see that they're slug eggs by their different deformities and their different calcium deposits. So they never had a snake fully form inside them. And this one in particular is the largest of the slugs that I was able to have her release. However, the final egg did continue to be egg bound. It was the 14th in the chain, and she was a 14-foot Burmese Python. And after 3 months of trying, it was unsuccessful, and so she passed away. So she actually lives up in my studio. I have her skin tanned, and I have her bones completely cleaned. I will be articulating her this winter, but that's what makes this particular one a very special piece, because it was an animal that I loved dearly, and I did whatever I could to try to help her. Right, so these are some of the butterfly cases. My collection ranges from 1910 until present. So I'll just kind of go through. Something I want every single student to take away when they visit my museum is that nature is essential, and insects, they have such a negative connotation against them. Ever since you're little, you're told bugs are gross, and you're taught to squish them, and you're taught to use insecticides. But people don't recognize how absolutely and utterly essential they are to our ecosystem. Without them, we would be in a really, really dangerous territory. You wouldn't have any of your fruits and vegetables. There'd be a massive amount of decay everywhere, and there'd be nothing to break down, things that pass away, food that doesn't get replenished and eaten. Our insects are our composters, they're our companions, they're our pollinators, and they're even some of our best friends. We utilize insects within our own body and our organisms to help break down things and hold on to things. Like our eyelashes are held in with little insects. There's like all kinds of really cool things that they do. Without the bees, we would be in a really dangerous space. And I just think it's important for people to recognize even the flies. Like, people think flies are gross. If you actually look at them, they're very dynamic, they're iridescent, they're beautiful, and their job is essential. Without flies breaking down our garbage, we would literally be suffocating in our own waste right now. So I think that some of the things that I'd like people to recognize when they leave is the importance of animals, the importance of nature, and to really have a fundamental understanding of the beauty that is this planet. Like, these bugs, these were created. I didn't paint them, I just pinned them and spread them. So what you're seeing, the colors, the textures, the smells, the shapes, these are natural creatures. And we are all different and they are all different. So I think it's really cool that we have the opportunity to embrace what makes us feel uncomfortable and examine it in a scientific and artistic manner that's non-threatening and also engaging. Hi, my name is Nina Salem. I'm a taxidermy artist and mortuary arts specialist, live animal educator, and performer, and you are watching Profiles.